Okay, so let's go over the default and the check. Unique also is another constraint, which we didn't get to do here. So let's see here. What do we have? The course title. Can we add the course title back? Okay, let's do that. So alter table, right? Courses. What's down here? Add. Close. Yeah, we just add the course, just add the title of the field name. Course title. That's the only exception here. Otherwise, you have add constraint, add others. But for the column, just add in the column name. Course title. And so from here on, just like how you would do up here. Okay, follow the same rules. Course title varchar of 25. If you want to say a not null, put that here, right? If you want to put some default, you can also put that here as well. But we do that separate statement. So we add that one there. Let's add another column. Can we add another column? Did I allow? I don't remember. Yeah, you can add multiple columns. Let's add another column. Just put a comma here. And then I have a second column. What do I want to add? Maybe course. It doesn't, not course, maybe just credits, right? Credits. This would be a int. It's nullable. And let's add back the student ID. This would be int. And this would be references, the foreign key. So I think we don't have to specify the foreign key here, but just say references, the table student, right? And then a student ID. See what this does. We'll find out. Okay. And I have some errors in here. Can I find type varchar? Oh. I hope that's it. Because syntax error is not as hard. Right? So here we got it successfully. So we just added 3 columns. And when you add columns, this is just like the usual way how you create tables when you create the columns this way. Okay? Just same rules. And so we, again, for the foreign key, you don't have to say foreign key. You could have say foreign key, right? And then you mentioned that column will be like student ID, and then the references, student ID, like that, and so on. But you don't have to do that. So only when you alter tables. So we got that, and so now our table has those 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. The course ID, title, credits, and the student ID. And the student ID is a foreign key that references the student table. So that's good. So let's do some more. Let's go down here. Let's just say that in the grade here, let's add a constraint to that grade. And we'll add a default value. Let's just say that if that grade is, well, not default, but let's add a check constraint. That means that all the grade has to be between only like 9th grade and 12th grades, right? Anything below above that is not allowed, for example. So we're going to alter this table, student table. Alter table student, and we're going to add constraint. It's a check constraint, so with CK for check is type table. Thank you very much. Intelligence. So CK is going to be student and then grade. And we want to say check, and here is the condition. So the condition is similar to how you do, the word clause, right? Where a name is something greater than or something, or is it within a certain range? So we want to say the field of grade has to be greater than or equal to 9, right? And grade less than or equal to 12, inclusive. So only between 9th and 12th graders can be allowed to enter into this table. Otherwise, it will reject the data. Okay, see if we this will run. Select that, execute, and we got it successfully. And then we can check our student just to make sure. I don't want to just going to take that out. See the whole student record table. And so here we have it. So notice again, it doesn't show you the check or whatever here, like one of the questions that Steve asked. But you can see down here that we have a check on the column grade, and this is the name that we gave, and it's enable right here. Okay, so students, the status is enable. That means that it's on, it's turned on. You can turn that off if you want to allow, let's just say, 8th graders in there. Okay, so that's the exception. And once the data is in there, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. This check here are only used before you enter the data into the table, right? It checks it first before it enters the data. Make sure it meets all the constraints, all the restrictions, and then it enters the data. Once it's in there, it doesn't matter. I could put a number of 1,000 in there. It should be fine. It's just an odd number that would be will cause an error in your results output, but it's allowable, right? So we have the constraint here. Is on the student ID in the grade with that constraint. So with that said, why don't we go ahead and try to add some data into the student rate table? Okay, so right down here, we're going to add one record, insert into student. Again, the word into is optional. You don't have to put into student. Just say insert, and then the student is fine too. The values, if you don't specify the columns in here, just make sure that you match the fields in that order. It's important, right? Because the first one is student ID, and again, do we have that as a primary key? Or we didn't. We did, right? It's not identity, so we have to manually insert the number in there. It's an int, so we just say first student is going to be, let's just say 101, and the first name is we just call this just like Peter. Sorry, Peter Bucker. You got to be in there. And he is in the. We have 4 columns, right? The grade. So if you put it like here, he's in the 10th grade. I guess when he got bitten. I'm just guessing. I don't know. So can we see he got spidered? Yes, Tom.
Is it just your years of doing this, or because you don't need that semicolon?
Oh, this one, yeah, just my way of doing it. It's not required.
No, I understand. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, just my way of doing it. So I know that's the end of that statement. That's all. But I think later on it will be required. So I might as well just get the hang of it, right? So they are thinking about changing that into a required.
People that without SQL or
Sorry?
who's thinking about return
Microsoft. Microsoft, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so if you run that statement, it should be successfully added. And then let's add another one. We put 102. Let me just duplicate this. 102. This would be
Just change the last name to Pan.
okay.
Easy.
Okay. And Peter Pan might be in the 8th grade.
Yeah, he's still young.
Yeah, 8th grade. Okay. So if you click add, oh, guess what? So the check works, right? It says conflict with the check constraint grade occur in this table here, column grade. It doesn't tell us more information other than that. It would be nice if it tells us more. It just says not allowed. And so what that means, you can check the column and see why. You'll see that because 8th grade is not included. It's not between the range that we set up here, right? So therefore it fails. Because it fails,
He's going to have to leave another one.
yeah, or go back to, I guess, somewhere. So what that means is once it's failed, then even though we think that this might be added in there, they're not. The entire statement is not stored in there. It doesn't affect at all. Okay, so everything gets rolled back. We call this rollback, or in other words, it's not, the data is not committed. Okay, whereas the first one does. So let's just say
When you ran that, it inserted, if you ran that all at once, before you ran Peter Parker, right now, it would put Peter Parker in there, but not Peter Pan.
good question. What do you think? Tom says, if I do this, okay, let's just say we change this to 105 and 106. Will it put, let's change Peter Parker. What's another one for Peter? I don't know. Potter, I guess. So if I run the statements here, okay, the first one will pass, right? It should pass. The second will fail. So do you think Peter Potter will be there, or is it both going to be failed? Both fail. Who else says? So Nancy says the first one, well, actually both fails. Who else? Who else says Peter Potter will be in there, but Peter Pan will be rejected only? Okay, Tom.
It won't commit all of it.
Okay. So we execute. So I have the same problem before. Okay?
Okay.
So now let's check it. So plus 10 for Nancy, minus 10 for Tom.
I want my Slim Jim back.
No.
So is it failing because it's all one statement and they both have to be true
Yes.
in all points?
Yes.
Okay.
When you run this, you can add 100 records in here. And if one of them fail, the entire thing gets rolled back.
My original question is, initially you had those separated,
Mm-hmm.
and would it run that?
Or if you have two separate insert statements, oh yeah, because they're separate statements. So in other words, if I have it so that if I put it here, insert into student, let me see if I have your questions right, like this, right? If I do this, and then run these two.
I can understand what that one runs first.
Yeah, so the first one is a separate statement that will run through, but the second will fail, even though you run it together, because they're now the separate statements. Okay, so if I run this again, you see the same error. It will say 1 successful, say 1 affected, So that one affected tells you that there's one successful row inserted, whereas the other one, it was 0. Okay? Um, so that's a really great question. I'm glad you asked that. So, and now if you, that's a good question. It is, right? So you see that was added. Okay? But we can change that, right? Because Peter Pan is a special person, so we can allow him to be added. Okay, so before we add that here, we want to alter the student table. Say, hey, Peter Pan, you're fine. You tried to add it 3 times. We should let you in. So we can say alter the student table. Okay. I will say no check. Okay, so don't check the constraint for this particular person called Peter Pan, and let him in. Okay, so if you look at this here, it says no check here, check or no check. You just the check constraint. You have to note the name of this constraint is. So basically, the constraint was, we call it CK student grade, right? Is that what's called? Oh, no check. Do I add something? No check constraint? I think I missed something. Check constraint. I don't remember the syntax for that one. Well, you could turn that off. I thought I have it here somewhere. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I missed the word constraint. Let me change that, because that's right. So I need to add that in there so we don't forget. We need the constraint keyword in here. No check constraint. Okay. We'd add a keyword in here, and I'm gonna turn that blue. Okay. So the constraint goes in here. See if that works now. Okay, so we'll just say turn off the constraint. Well, before we do this, let's check this student again. Okay, we'll see that the check, right, over here, the status is enabled. Okay, so when we turn that off, it should be the NA or not enabled. Okay, so go up here and run this no check constraint, execute that, and check this status again. You see that now the check status has been set to disabled, right? So now Peter Pan can be added to the class. I'm not sure if it'll pass, but that's besides the point, right? So we can go back and now add Peter Pan in there, and he should be good to go. Okay? And then now you'll see that he is part of the class. There it is. Okay?
And now, just to turn it, the check back on, then you would just type alter table student check.
Mm-hmm.
And then
The same thing. Yep, you just change that to check, and then you run that again, you turn that back on again. Okay, so make sure you turn it back on once you select that, or the particular student or the particular group of students or group of data. And just to make sure that it's enabled again, you see that right here is now back to the enabled status. Okay? Same thing with the identity column. If you have an identity column, and because it's maintained by the server, the system, it will automatically generate the ID for you. And if you want to alter that, because it goes through a sequential number, right, from 1 to whatever it is, and suddenly you want to change that to a number other than what's generated, you can turn that off, and then you can manually insert an ID in there. Okay, so just make sure you turn back off again, just like this one here. All right, so we just learned how to set constraints in here for the check again, we just did one example here for the grade. You could have it so that, I mean, the condition here is just like the word clause. So grade is that. You can also say between 9 and 12, or between a different number, right? Or you could also say not just that. You can say like check the grade, and then you put here 8, or I mean like 9, 10, 11, 12, right? That too works too. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Have that working.